back, guys. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for taking the time to spend a little time with me, and welcome back to another edition of Terrible Towel Tuesday, guys. Of course, coming off the bye week, I told you I would continue the series, even though I don't have anything to recap. I'll be more reflective, and give my reflections or my thoughts on what may come in the coming week. Of course, it's Ravens week, guys. And I got a special, edition for you today, guys. I have a Ravens fan, my good buddy Dez, that's going to come on and shed his light as well on this week and the Steelers and Ravens in general. So it should be pretty good, guys. So we'll go ahead and jump right into it. Now, real quick, guys, just some quick news, some things to keep an eye on. Ben Roethlisberger has been practicing. Is he going to play? Who knows? If not, it's going to be Landry Jones. All right, we'll talk about that in a bit. Marcus Gilbert is saying that he wants to play. Cam Hayward is trying to get back. He may have a chance to play as well. Eli Rogers has some disciplinary, issues. I think he violated a team rule or what have you, so he was scratched from the Patriots game. Plans to be playing in this week's game. So a couple things like that. We'll see who comes back. Ladarius Green has actually had a sighting in practice. Don't know if he'll play. Don't know what he can provide. Bud Dupree, I don't know if the decision has been made on him yet, but I know he's been out there practicing. I got to check on that, get my information on that. But yeah, so there's some bright spots. It looks like the bye may have come at the right time. So we'll see what happens, man. But before we get into all that, I definitely want to bring Dez on and allow him to shed his light in regards to, the Ravens. Let's hear exactly, how he feels about the Ravens Steelers, because we both kind of have some thoughts as far as the teams. They're not the same teams, and we'll get into that in just a minute. But Dez, man, happy to have you on, man. Definitely, man, go ahead and shed some light on, what you feel about this year's Ravens, this year's Steelers.
All right. So, talking Ravens Steelers 2016, what's pretty much regarded as the number one rivalry in the league, at least in recent years it has been. I think it's important for us to acknowledge a couple things. We're at a time where, whether it's this year, next year, or the following year, regime changes is in order. At least in the Ravens, and probably for the Steelers too. Sim, you could probably speak to where the Steelers are personnel-wise a little bit better than I can. But for both of our teams, we have guys playing quarterback who've been doing it for a long time, who've taken some beatings over their careers, and specifically for Ben, how that guy continues to suit up with everything that he's been through is crazy to me. He's like the Allen Iverson, the quarterbacks. He's just always hurt, but he's always delivering. And it's interesting to me to see kind of where both of these franchises have gone over the last 5-10 years, because within the last 5-10 years, we've both won championships. We've both made several deep playoff runs. But I do think that the directions of both of our teams are very much in question moving forward for a lot of different reasons.
Yeah, man. Well, that's an interesting point that you make, before you continue. It is very interesting. Let's just face it. The Ravens nor the Steelers have really been that team on both sides of the ball in a long time. We're going all the way back to the when you knew it was going to be Ravens Steelers. One or the other was going to make it in, not only make it to the playoffs, but one or the other was going to knock the other one off in terms of, competing for a championship. When you talk about, the Ray Rice days with Flacco and Torrey Smith and Anquan Bolden, and then you got Ray Lewis on the defensive side of the ball, Nata in the middle, you got Suggs, you got McPhee, just a lot of guys, man. Ed Reed, and then of course with the Steelers, most of the guys, some of the guys are still there offensively, Antonio Browns, and even he started to come in a little later, with the real rivalry, with Hines Ward and those type of guys. You still got Big Ben. The running back position has changed with Bell. He's just starting to get that. But defensively, you're talking about the Woodley days with a younger Harrison, Troy Polamalu, or Ryan Clark, or Ike Taylor, and so on and so on. It's just those teams are not there anymore. Those teams are really not there anymore. So it's kind of like, they're up and down. Defensively, both the Ravens and the Steelers haven't been that great. And it's crazy. It's really crazy, man. But, definitely I want you to go ahead and continue with your point, though.
I think for the Steelers, you guys have definitely put together, a relative juggernaut on offense. But the problem is keeping all those guys either healthy or eligible, meaning not suspended, for them to all play together and gel together for an entire season. For the Ravens on offense, I think the problem at this point is clearly Joe Flacco. And I'll touch on both of those points. So, my outsider's perspective on the Steelers is that I'm kind of disappointed with the direction that you guys' team is going in. Since, the Palomalu era Steelers, the Hines Wards, the Farriers, the, Woodleys and Harrisons, that crew of guys, since they've gone, I don't really see, outside of drafting Le'Veon Bell and the boy from Stanford, the lineman, the Castro, I don't see you guys drafting too many early picks that have turned out to be primetime players in the time frame that we expect those top tier guys to establish themselves in nowadays. 10, 15, 20 years ago, if a guy you draft from early and he doesn't actually pay dividends for you until the second or third year, I think you kind of understood that the learning curve was a little bit different. But now, guys from the first all the way through the fifth round can be expected to make contributions from day one, whether it's on downs or on special teams or what have you. But, if I'm thinking just off the top of my head, some of the early picks you guys have made, Jarvis Jones is one of the big ones that sticks out to me. Where I'm struggling to find that next great era of Steelers players from who you guys have picked in recent years. And off the strength that, you have not had as many deep playoff runs since the 2010 season when you guys made the Super Bowl. I've been like, okay, is this going to be the year where Pittsburgh jumps back? And for the most part, the 8-8, and in contention for a wild card, maybe the division. And I haven't understood why, because the Steelers, you guys have, well, I don't even think it's close, to being the best, or I don't think it's close for anybody else that you guys have the best position groups on offense as far as your skill guys. Nobody can trot out, the best player arguably at their position at least two skill positions in AB and Le'Veon. Marcus Wheaton, I don't know what's happened to him. Obviously, Martavis Bryant, immensely talented, but, off the field issues and injuries have plagued him. And one thing that for the life of me, I'm struggling with for the Steelers and for you guys, for the fans is, why the Steelers year after year seems refuse to heavily invest in an offensive line for Ben Roethlisberger. Ben has taken such a beating over his career. Half of it he could have avoided, but half of it is what makes him great. Extending those plays, breaking tackles in the pocket, hanging in there, rolling out. And that's where you guys get those big, huge, explosive bombs downfield. And the plays more often than not weren't designed for that to be the outcome, but because Ben is an offensive line in his own right, he's probably prevented more sacks on himself than any of his left tackles since Starks left. It's kind of sad to see. You guys not necessarily getting him the support or locking it in, just and losing the guy this year to the Jaguars. I think it was Beacham, right? So it's, I've struggled, and this is where I want you to shed some light, Sim, because I don't know who y'all are paying so much money to that you can't afford to go out and make sure that Ben is protected and that you guys' offensive line can open up holes in the run game. The productivity has been there. and I say that about you guys' offensive line because I'm asking about, the Ravens' offensive line. That's my biggest question mark for us.
Gotta agree with you there, man. The O-line play has been a little shaky. I've had a chance to peek at the Ravens a little bit, but offensive line for the Steelers hasn't been too bad in terms of protection. Ben hasn't really taken a lot of sacks so far this year, which is good. He's had some time. But it doesn't seem like the holes are really opening up, as far as the run game. There's some spurts, but we've got to make sure that we're firing off the line. Particularly, I will say against your Ravens, man, because the Ravens traditionally, where they beat the Steelers is in the trenches. Even last year, so you didn't have a great season, an anomaly in my opinion, because it was strange to see Ravens play like that. It was very strange, and I hope, even as a Steelers fan, I hope you guys are not going down the same road again, sitting at 3-4. But they came to play when they played the Steelers, and it's always that front seven. That front seven seems to give us a problem. I know that, you guys are down Suggs a little, at the moment. I'm not sure if he'll be back. But you're right. The offensive line, defensive line, the trench play is where it's going to be key in terms of Steelers-Ravens like it always is. But how are you feeling, man? What are your thoughts and your predictions in regards to, the outcome of this week's game?
All right, so the prediction for this game, if the Steelers come out focused, if the Steelers come out and play the game that they know they can play, which they should have no problem doing up until they actually start to really study the film of the Ravens this year and see how horribly bad we've played across the line of scrimmage from the pass rush standpoint, from the pass protection standpoint, and for the most part from the run blocking standpoint. If they come out there and are really prepared to expose that, then it's going to be a long day at M&T Bank Stadium, and it's going to be a very quiet crowd very quickly, and it's going to turn into boos very quickly. We've lost 4 games in a row, man, after barely winning the first 3 games. And we even though we lost these last 4 games, we very easily could have won them, but, we really didn't even deserve for these games to be as close as they've been. So the bright side of that for us is that means that we do have a lot of talent, and we can play as sloppy as we do. We can not take advantage of turnovers and other things that we do for ourselves positively. We can't take full advantage of them consistently, and therefore we get into these close games with not only these lesser teams, but the teams who we might have a hard time beating. When we rise to their occasion, we usually just end up shooting ourselves in the foot or just not taking advantage of the opportunities we've made for ourselves. And the Steelers, on defense, I haven't been impressed at all by what I've seen. But when they put it together, they put it together. They can very, very, very easily shut us down. And we need to have Joe play the best game he's played this season, without a doubt. And probably one of the best games he's played in the last 2 seasons. If we come out here and we really commit to the run and the ball, after having 6 rush yards as a team last game, if we can stay out of 3rd and long, if we can stay on schedule on 1st down, if we can start with the ball consistently outside of our own 20, it's going to be a good game for us. But I just don't see us having the guys, unless the Steelers really come out unfocused. I don't see us having the guys right now to really come out and put a hurting on you guys. At best, I think that we're looking at a traditional Ravens-Steelers matchup at best for us. At worst, like I said, it could be a long day for us. Your pass rushers who've been struggling, if there are any of them, they should be getting very excited to try to go up against Alex Lewis or James Hurst or Ricky Wagner or John Urschel right now, or even Jensen. It's all bad. What you got, man?
Yeah, man. See, I gotta say this first. It's interesting what you said, man. I like the fact that you can really talk about your team in a real way. Same way I do. The same way I do. And I know you asked me about, personnel and things like that, and it's interesting, man, because, just going back to the O-line, the Steelers have, they got high draft picks on that O-line. You got a David DeCastro, you got a Marcus Gilbert, you have the Big Ragu and a Ramon Foster, and these guys should be able to get it done. Now, we definitely could probably use a little bit of help on the outside. Villanueva, still a big guy. He's getting better, transitioning from defense to offense. He's 6'9", so his height, everybody's not Jonathan Ogden. Jonathan Ogden and a Max Stark, for us, were two big, giant guys who were able to get low and things like that, and especially Ogden. But everybody can't do that. 6'9" is pretty tall and pretty big to be on the O-line and having to deal with dudes getting underneath you. Yeah, man, I think it's going to come down to the trench play. I think if we can stop the run game against you guys, I feel like we have a chance to win the game. Now, what's key is Ben playing or is Landry Jones playing? I'll speak on that real briefly. Landry Jones didn't play that bad against the Patriots. He may have enough to be able to play with a Ravens team if he has time, because you guys are struggling on the defensive end the same way we are. So I think with the weapons offensively, we should be able to do some things. You guys are probably going to be able to do some things as well. And the only difference is Flacco doesn't have as many options, as a Landry Jones or a Big Ben will have. So it's going to really come down to the run game for us. If we can make you guys have to pass, I think our defense can do enough to make it interesting and, possibly get a victory. I know the Ravens are thirsty for a victory as well. I mean, at 3-4, you at least want to get back to 500 and try to turn the season around a bit. But, the Steelers are pretty much in the same situation. If they mess around and they were to lose and they go 4-4, they're putting them at 500. And then the Ravens and Steelers are still tied for first place, which most people would expect. You see what I'm saying? But, and the Bengals having that tie, that may have hurt them a little bit. But even, actually, I think with them only losing, I think they would be 4-3 if I'm not mistaken. I don't remember their record quite off the bat, but we'll have to see. But, that race to the top between the Ravens and the Steelers and the Bengals are going to be very interesting. I actually feel like, man, 10-6 could possibly win this division. So it's going to be very key and very tough going down the stretch. But this is going to be a phenomenal game like it always is. But I think, and not being biased, looking at the body of work, I think if we're able to play the way we're supposed to, make a few plays here and there, stop the run, limit the splash plays, I think we can win the game. And with all due respect to the Ravens, I just think the Steelers have a little more to offer as far as offensively. Both of them are struggling on defense, but I think we have a little more that can possibly edge out a Ravens team at this point. You would have thought that last year, right? So you never can tell, but that's just my gut feeling. But that's going to do it, guys, man. This was a great show, great edition. Dez, salute to you, man. I appreciate you coming on and shedding your light. And guys, going forward, man, I want to make this more than what it is, man. Hopefully I can possibly make this more into a fan-based show. Maybe start doing a hangout. We'll have to figure out what time of day I could do that. But if you guys want to do something like that, I would love to do that and have Steelers fans come on. And, I would invite other fans as well. We come on and we can do it live like that, where it's a hangout where everybody can see everybody, and that would be great. So you guys let me know, you Steelers fans who are in the chat, or leave a comment. Y'all let me know what you think about that idea. But again, this has been a great show. Dez, I appreciate it. And we'll see what happens come Sunday. I'm sure it's going to be a headbanger like it always is. So that's going to do it, guys. Definitely leave your thoughts and comments. Stay tuned for a few short messages.
Oh, wait. Before you go, hit that sub box. Make sure you subscribe. Come back around for more content. And don't forget to leave your thoughts, leave your comments, and I promise it'll never hurt you to hit that like button. Another announcement real quick, guys. Sim Standard Radio has now moved here to YouTube via Google Hangout. Come check us out right here every Thursday night at 8 p.m. Eastern. All right, That's all I got for you. Okay, bye. Go ahead. Get out of here.